Hey everyone, it's Anna. Welcome back to my channel. Thanks so much for visiting. I wanted to share some note cards that I've been making with you, but first I thought I would show you what got me to the point of making the note cards in the first place. And it was this big stack of watercolor paper that I've gathered. So I have a box next to my desk where I throw in all these little samples that I paint. They might be the exercise that I like to do where I blend from one color to another to see what kind of variations in color you can get by mixing two different pigments. So there's a bunch of these in there. It might be that there's a new paint palette that I got that I want to test the colors on, and so I might just paint them all out randomly and see how they blend together. I might have some new paper that I want to try and see how my paint reacts on new paper. Isn't that lovely? This is one of those exercises where I started at yellow ochre and I blended all the way to blue. And these are all the different colors you get when you blend those two colors gradually. Isn't that amazing? So beautiful. And then down here, I was just painting whatever was left on my palette to get all these various different swatch colors too. That's so pretty. But anyway, like I was saying, sometimes I might have a new paint palette that I want to just test out, see how the colors run and work together. Sometimes I have new paper that I'm trying, like this paper came with a paint palette and I wanted to try it out. And it's just inexpensive paper, but you know, those little spots are pretty, especially these right here. Aren't those pretty? So instead of just throwing it away, I tuck it all in a box. And every so often I go through the box and pull out something that might look neat for a tag or might work for the card that I'm working on, card background. And also it's just kind of fun to flip through them and see all these really pretty colors and be inspired by the colors themselves. So I thought I would see if I could pull any of these out of here and work them into the little intuitive paintings that I've been doing lately. And let's see, we'll just flip through these last ones here real quick. So see, some of them aren't great. Like those are just paint splots. I was probably testing a paint palette. These I was testing granulating watercolors. But you know, why throw it away? It's so pretty. There's one of the ones that I blended from yellow to this turquoise color, yellow to this green color, and then this is a blue to yellow. So I just love doing that. You can see all different kinds of fun colors that you can get by mixing. This is one that I painted a bunch of squares. You know, it's not great on its own, but you could isolate some areas in that and use it for something. So what I did is I took some of these larger ones, see, not very exciting, testing a palette, seeing all the pretty colors. But what I did is I grabbed a couple of the larger sheets and I cut them down into basically 3.5-inch squares. And so you can see here I was testing how colors ran into each other. And I also splashed in some pearlescent watercolors to kind of get some blooms in there. This one was probably part of the same sheet at some point, you know, could have been like that, or I don't know, maybe it was like this. I don't know, somehow those colors started together on the same sheet. Here's probably the other end where the oranges and yellows were. And then these two came from the same sheet, I'm sure, where I was doing big circles and letting the colors run together. And you can see I've added some splatters of metallic in there as well. So what I did is I just cut them all down, cut them down into 3.5-inch squares, which left me with a whole stack of little abstract paintings that I could then go and use my Posca acrylic markers on. I could use the gold inks on. I could make little pencil lines and do whatever I want on them. And it wasn't some precious thing that I felt like I was wasting. So let me show you, my little mini masterpieces that I've been doing. So these are some of the paintings that I did where I taped the watercolor paper down and I was creating basically that panel of colors, and then I was just going in with the markers and stuff and making the little decorations on them. And I've shared these with you before, but they're a little bit different from doing it with my swatches, because the colors that I was using my swatches were so different and vibrant and punchy compared to, you know, where I was doing these on boards. They all kind of mixed and matched and kind of looked alike. I don't have that luxury with using my swatch cards. So let's take a look at these. These turned out so fun. Okay. So these are all ones I've shared with you already. They are the ones where I taped them down to the board, and they're all the same color palettes and things like that. But these are different. Let me get this out of the way. All right. So let's take a look at these, because these turned out so fun. So the big circles were one of the painted swatch sheets that I cut up. And then what I added to it was the pencil line, the gold ink, that's here and here, and then the swirl of gold ink. And I added the turquoise little cubies and the polka dots and the purple hashes, I guess. And I think it turned out so fun. And just by using those pre-painted swatch sheets that I have in my stash, I felt like it was a little more freeing, because I wasn't limiting myself to just 2 or 3 colors for the background. Like, look at that. That's so fun. And it started out as you know, one of these, basically. So I think that turned out really, really cute. And also what I liked about it is that some sheets, when I cut them apart into the 3.5-inch squares, I was left with the blues and greens, because I always tend to mix, you know, in rainbow order. And then on some sheets, I was left with the reds and oranges. But, you know, sometimes I could work in these really bright colors, which were the opposite of whatever paint I had on my sheet. So like this one's all blues and greens. And that gold. And then this one was probably the same sheet that I cut down. And so here you can see I'm finally made my way to the yellows and oranges and the purples. And then this is a different type of swatch sheet. This one started out more like this sheet, where I just basically was swatching, you know, brush lines. So you can see how I added polka dots and pencil lines and gold swirls. And I added the acrylic marker over top. And it turned into something completely different than just swatched paintbrush lines. So fun. And here's another piece of that one. You can see where it was probably, you know, probably even the same paint palette. I love it. And this one was probably the same sheet. I really like adding the opposite colors. So oranges and turquoises, oranges and blues. And then this one is back to the dots sheet. I think there was some that I didn't even do. Yeah, like this was probably the same sheet of circles. But it was fun not limiting myself to just 2 or 3 colors on the background, and having to work, you know, with all the colors. I really like this one. The pop of turquoise in with all the oranges is really fun. So I have greeting cards for days now. So what I did is once I had all the paint swatch samples cut down to 3.5 inches square, then I cut a black mat at 3 3/4 inch square, and I just glued them onto basic white card bases. Fun, fun. I love this next one. I love the oranges. This one's fun too, with the hot pinks. And then here's one back to the circles again, where this piece obviously was the blues and getting into the yellow. So these were so fun to do. I can see that I'll continue doing these because they were just so enjoyable. I even have, of course, you know, some that I haven't finished yet, so I'll be able to do a few more. Here's one I haven't done. But they are so fun and make good use of this type of project for me. I don't want to stop making my little watercolor sample sheets because, you know, they are really fun and it's fun to see the colors mix and blend. But, you know, what are you going to do with all that stuff? Who knows? I also worked on a few more before I started these. I worked on a few more, and they look slightly different because, you know, they are my toned down color palettes. You know, where I just chose a couple colors for the background and then added the things on top. And these, I pulled out some of the shimmer powders that I have. And so that's why the color is different, the muted colors, because they're actual shimmer powders instead of paints. But I don't know if you can see it, but it's really kind of pearly looking right there. So that is fun. And here's another one that kind of goes with it. So I really like doing the turquoise. The turquoise pen, acrylic pen, is probably my favorite. And here's one where I used, the background was done with oxide ink refills. Probably picked raspberry, and I'm not sure what the blue color is, but that's what that is oxide refills. And then this was shimmer powders. And then the turquoise I added was that turquoise ink that I've been enjoying using. I still have it sitting here next to me. It is the Amsterdam ink in the color turquoise green. So I really like adding that color in. So there's that guy, and then his little partner. And then finally I did this one. And it uses that ink again, the turquoise green ink, and probably a purple shimmer powder. Let's see, it's probably this one. Lilac Waterfall, maybe. But yeah, so probably just a shimmer powder with the ink. But these were just super fun to make and different from my usual stamped cards, but so enjoyable. And it makes good use, I think, of all my little watercolor sample sheets. Aren't they fun? So if you are like me and you like making the watercolor sample swatches and you don't know what to do with them, here you go. Get out some acrylic paint pens and have some fun. Love it. So hopefully you're inspired and you might want to try this. I will continue to do it for sure. So look how fun this is. It takes no technique, no skill whatsoever. I guarantee it. But it was super fun to do. I don't even know that I can choose a favorite. I do like the ones that have the bright yellows and oranges with the turquoise pops. That definitely is my favorite color palette in all of these. But I don't know that I could pick a favorite card. I like this one though. Maybe this one's my favorite. So anyways, That's what I've got to share with you today. Hopefully you're inspired. If you have all these watercolor swatches like I do, pull them out, make some note cards. It's fun, quick, and easy. Thanks for watching. I will talk to you again very soon. Bye.